The Trump regime caught in the act covering up casualties in the catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran. We are now finding out that 60 more service members were injured in the catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran, bringing the total dead and injured to 775. We are also learning that 8 individuals were killed in a plane crash at a remote Alaskan military site. The Air Force was forced to admit this, although they provided very little information about what actually happened at this remote Alaskan military site. And you'll recall earlier this month, Wired reported that it appeared that the U.S. military accidentally killed everybody on board a civilian medevac flight in New Mexico as the Army was testing out new equipment, new GPS jamming equipment in the area. The Trump regime also continues to cover up its slaughter of little girls, not just in the Manab Elementary School, but also the Lamerd Gym Hall facility. We'll talk about all of this, but it's cover up after cover up with this Trump regime and what they've tragically turned CENTCOM into. And this is why the Trump regime has also fired all of the top level leadership from Stars and Stripes, the main military newspaper. The publisher stated that he was likely going to resign in September because of the fact that the Trump regime was imposing a military chaperone to control all of the reporting in Stars and Stripes. And then in the past 24 to 48 hours, the Trump regime fired the editor-in-chief of Stars and Stripes, the main military newspaper, and also a reporter who just did an incredible expose about how poorly the United States military is treating service members and their family who were stationed in Bahrain, which was hit hard by Iran early in the war. And there are, thousands of military service members and their family that are just utterly displaced right now because they were stationed in Bahrain. There were schools there. There's a whole setup there for military people who are stationed there and their family and their kids. And they're getting utterly ignored right now by the State Department, by Hegseth, who don't want anything to do with them. And they're like, we need to know where we're going to move. We're spending tens of thousands, $40,000, some families are, in relocation costs from Bahrain to other places. Like, where do we go? Where do our kids go to school? Hello, anybody want to, from the Trump regime, want to speak with the service member families? This is in addition, obviously, to the great reporting by Stars and Stripes, Aaron Parnas, who's affiliated with the MeidasTouch Network, MS Now, and others regarding the horrific conditions aboard the aircraft carriers in the region as well. Let's just break this all down piece by piece. For months now, I've been saying the Trump regime is covering up casualties. I still believe the 775 casualty number is about 3 to 5x undercounting what it really is. I believe the casualty number is more like 5,000 service members. I'm basing this on the satellite footage that I observed, where I've seen these containerized barracks that were hit hard by Iran. We know that there were service members in and around these barracks. We know that the ballistic missiles from Iran and drones hit. This would obviously, at the very least, cause traumatic brain injury. But previously, the Trump regime has claimed traumatic brain injury as non-injuries, or just very small nothing, is what they've kind of referred to it before. TBIs are very serious things, but I believe they're covering up a lot more injuries. And just think about some of the scheming the Trump regime's done. They've basically tried to separate the catastrophic war and claim there have been 2 wars. They say Epic Fury was already won by the Trump regime, and then there was a gap, and then there's another war taking place. So there's been 2 wars so that they can try to lie about the casualty numbers and then avoid having to go and get congressional authorization, which they have to anyway. Look, Donald Trump's a lifelong fraud. He's actually a felon. He's a criminal. Separately, he's a sexual predator. He's a bad guy. He's bankrupted casino after casino, business after business before he was involved in politics. The only thing he's good at is lying, for defrauding people, and then blaming people. That's his whole thing. Remember his civil case where he was found civilly liable for fraud in a Manhattan courthouse? The whole thing was he lies about numbers. On one day, he says that the value of Mar-a-Lago's $20 million because he doesn't want to pay property taxes. The next day, he wants to take out a loan. He says it's worth $2 billion, $3 billion to use the asset as a way to take out more money from banks. The guy just makes up numbers. That's his whole thing. He says, we brought in $19 trillion, $21 trillion. Everything's a lie that this guy says. Every sound, syllable, utterance, he's a walking fraud. You just have to know that about him. And that's what I've been saying. He is a horrific human being. Let's take a look, though, at what we learned at the end of this week. The Pentagon adds 60 wounded to Iran war casualty count. A further 60 American service members wounded in the Iran war were added to the Pentagon's count of military casualties in recent days, bringing the total number of service members killed or injured to 775. The number listed as wounded rose from 697 on Wednesday to 757 on Thursday, according to the Defense Department's Defense Casualty Analysis System. The number of deaths purportedly remained unchanged at 18. The Pentagon did not immediately respond at all on Friday to a request for more information from Stars and Stripes, but the Pentagon did fire the publisher, they did fire the editor-in-chief, and did fire one of their top reporters, but did not respond to them regarding the inquiry. And what Stars and Stripes saw is on the system, remember how I've been assessing that internal system? And I've been saying they're definitely undercounting it. More numbers were just added, more casualties were added, and then it wasn't even addressed. It just added. Because, what CENTCOM was very busy, to be fair. They were very busy trying to manipulate the oil markets on Friday, because that's all this is market manipulation for Donald Trump and his oligarch buds, right? CENTCOM told CNBC, also CBS separately, but CENTCOM told CNBC that U.S. forces have helped tankers transport over 660 million barrels of crude oil through the Strait of Hormuz since May, at least 7 million barrels per day over the past 3 weeks. Okay, that's all a lie. Every aspect of it is a lie. Why is CENTCOM reaching out to CNBC? I'll tell you why. Because Besant was running his own market manipulation bond buyback scheme. He was previously doing his Japanese yen bailout manipulation scheme. By the way, the bond buyback scheme, the Japanese yen scheme, both complete and utter failures. So CENTCOM, CNBC, okay, you're the financial channel. This is CENTCOM here. We'd like to tell you that we're actually brought 7 million barrels a day. No, you didn't. We have the satellite footage. We can see what's actually happening. We can see the very large containers, VLCCs. We can see the very large ships. And we know that even when they turn off their transponders, we know that it's not bringing in nearly anywhere near 7 million barrels a day. If it was bringing in all of this oil, if all of this crude was leaving, let's just be simple about it. I'm a simple guy sometimes. Then why would our strategic petroleum reserves be continuing to hit tank bottom and we continue to draw from them and it gets lower to lower? Why would the crack 3-2-1 spreads of diesel be approaching record highs of over $102 a barrel, the price of diesel approaching $200 a barrel, with the price of crude right now around $94 a barrel, which just means for all of us, you're paying on average nationwide $4.15 a gallon, but probably you're paying closer to $6 right now. For diesel, the national average is $5.50, but surely you're probably paying closer to $6.50, $7, perhaps even higher when it comes to diesel. So if all of this oil was coming out, it's supply and demand, baby. It's economics 101. We would be able to know what was actually out there. Supply and demand. Guess what? When you blow things up and you destroy things, Donald, there's less supply. Let's talk about what else is being covered up by the despicable and sickening Trump regime. 8 killed in plane crash at remote Alaskan military site. The Air Force was forced to fess up to. A plane crash at a remote U.S. Air Force site in Alaska has killed all 8 people on board, the U.S. military said. The civilian contracted aircraft crashed shortly after midday local time on Thursday near Cape Newenham, which hosts the airport of long-range radar sites. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers said 2 of its employees were on board. It is unclear who the other passengers were or why they were there, but the U.S. Air Force Alaskan Command Chief said they had been dedicated professionals carrying out a vital mission in a demanding environment. This is a devastating loss for our military family and the communities we serve, Lieutenant General Robert Davis added. Our absolute priority right now is providing unwavering support to their families, friends, and teammates during this devastating time. We are profoundly grateful for the swift and tireless response of our search and recovery professionals. Rescuers who landed near the crash site confirmed there were no survivors, it added. An investigation is underway and the deceased will be named once their next of kin have been informed. The plane was chartered by the USAC, which said on Friday it confirmed 2 of its employees were aboard. Okay. Usually when situations like this happen, the commander-in-chief would come out with a statement. We would hear from the president. We would hear from the Defense Department. We would hear from some top cabinet official about what was going on, and we, the nation, would understand. Did you even know this happened? If I didn't report on it right now, maybe you heard about it. But the same way when I was doing a report on Friday about the horrific storms in Gary, Indiana, obviously if you're from the area, you know about those horrible thunderstorms, but 300,000 people were without power. 7 people died in Northwest Indiana, and you don't hear a peep from Donald Trump or really anything coming out of FEMA that's meaningful or material or impactful. It's like in Puerto Rico right now, which Donald Trump has previously said the most heinous things about. I mean, they're rationing water in the United States of America. And again, in normal times, you would have the leader of the United States talk about these things. And he doesn't because he is a sick, disgusting, vile thing. And again, we need to ask if what was happening in Alaska with the jamming issues, is that similar to what happened in New Mexico with the GPS jammers? Futurism ran the following title back on August 3rd of 2026. It appears that the U.S. military accidentally killed everybody on board a civilian medevac flight in New Mexico. This was a statement that the Army released. The Army is aware of the release of the NTSB's preliminary report into the crash of a civilian medical evacuation flight on May 14th in the vicinity of Ruidoso, New Mexico. As the incident remains under investigation, we cannot comment at this time. Okay, it happened May 14th, so you covered it up through August? Just a total cover-up? When the Federal Aviation Administration shut down the air traffic in El Paso Airport, remember that earlier this year? Nobody could have guessed that it was an experimental high-energy laser weapon that was the cause of that. And that same weapon was being used also in New Mexico, where a horrifying incident happened in May, where a small twin-engine medevac aircraft carrying 2 pilots and 2 medical workers departed from Roswell, New Mexico, heading west for the small mountain village of Ruidoso. The crew became the victim of an electronic warfare exercise being conducted at the nearby White Sands Missile Range, a test which rendered their navigation systems inoperable. Everything is a damn cover-up, Stars and Stripes reported on Friday, and then this reporter Lara Corti, after posting this story, was fired. I'll do a whole other segment on that. Navy families evacuated from Bahrain face uncharted territory amid bureaucratic confusion. Doesn't it always seem bureaucratic confusion with these Trump regime idiots? They can't get food to our aircraft carriers, and they treat our service members and their families like absolute crap everywhere, not just those aboard the ships. And in Bahrain, you had the community of military families that lived there. Their kids went to school there, and the Trump regime had to evacuate everybody because we didn't have the weapons to protect them. Trump and Netanyahu rushed into this war. There was no notice. There was no any thought about the military members and their families who are in the region. Iran prepared for this. They knew exactly where to strike to disrupt American logistics. They probably couldn't fathom, though, just how bad Donald Trump would be and never actually being able to even conceive that you need logistics in war. Yeah, idiot, you need logistics in war. And so basic things have broken down. The military families don't have places to live because they got evacuated. So does anybody at the Defense Department, State Department want to help them find new apartments? Or do they have to go out of pocket for your own incompetence? What about the teachers at the schools? If they ain't getting paid, if they don't have places to live, they got to teach elsewhere. So what happens to the family members of the military kids or the military kids who are there? Where do they go? Where do they go to school? Have you thought about any of this? And they didn't. And you have this horrific story that was reported on before this reporter got fired of these family members who didn't know or still don't know where they should live. They're basically unhoused at this point, and the military's not getting back to them. Now, I've been sharing with you all of this CENTCOM propaganda, and it's been so embarrassing to me, and I think for so many Americans who actually are patriotic and care about our military, that CENTCOM now looks like a Truth Social account. And so CENTCOM would always make these posts. Iran says they control the Strait of Hormuz. False. We control the Strait of Hormuz. Iran claims they struck American military bases and injured people. False. Everybody's fine. And then you know that, like, you learn CENTCOM lied about everything. And then you find out, like, Iran's media, Tasnim and Fars and Mayers, like, were right. And I'm like, what? The Iranians did it right and CENTCOM was the lie. And it happened so many times. And I would see the visuals. I would see the U.S. bases targeted by Iran from, certain dates. This is the map of July 9th to July 24th. I could see the satellite damage. Yet if CENTCOM was like, that didn't happen. I'm like, I know it happens. And again, this is the same CENTCOM right now covering up some horrific war crimes that were committed by the Trump regime in Iran. Obviously, everybody talks about Manab, and rightfully so, where the Trump regime used United States Tomahawks to slaughter 168 little elementary school girls, slaughtered with United States taxpayer dollars that could have actually gone to helping little girls in the United States get health care, or little boys or little kids or people or adults, anybody actually get health care in the United States. But no, the tax money was given to Trump to do a catastrophic war with Netanyahu to slaughter little girls. I mean, it's so utterly sick. But also, we should not forget about what took place in Le Merde. And the BBC and New York Times did separate analysis showing that in Le Merde, multiple experts show that it was actually a U.S. weapon, a new missile that explode almost like these pellets that spread out over the volleyball gym that these little girls were playing at, and killed 21 people who were practicing volleyball on the first day of the war. Donald Trump still denies it. We're never going to get to the bottom of it, because he's a fraud. He's a con artist. I mean, the United States slaughtered little elementary school girls, and it's sick and it's disgusting. And it brings me so much pain. It really does. It makes me so freaking sad that this is what the country that I live in, does. It's sick stuff. But when Donald Trump's asked, he's like, we're never going to get to the bottom of it. We'll never know what happened. Because you're a con artist, and you're a sexual predator, and you're a deviant, and you're a criminal, and you're a horrible, sick human. But if we care about humanity, we need to just acknowledge what the hell happened and figure out what we can do to avoid it. And there's nothing we can do to bring those little girls back. But damn it, have empathy. These are people's lives. These are people's kids. These are real people. This is real life. This isn't a simulation. What the hell are we talking about? Let's play this clip.
Democrats released a letter calling on your administration to unveil the findings of the investigation into a strike that killed more than 100 children on the first day of the war. Will you commit to releasing the findings of this investigation?
Well, I'd have to speak to the generals that are doing because we mostly have generals. I don't think anybody's going to ever be able to say what happened there.
There are images from this site that show fragments that appear to be from U.S. Tomahawk missiles. Is it possible that old intelligence or a mistake during a very active time in the war led to this event?
It is, but it's also possible that those images that you have are AI generated. I know we're waiting for a conclusive report. I don't think there can be a conclusive report.
Will you release the report when it is finished?
I guess so. I have to ask the military people. There might be a reason why they can't.
During the interview, the president had a very clear message for the Iranian regime. Make a deal or the strikes against Iran will ramp up in the days ahead. He said he is reserving energy targets for the end, but he did not rule out the possibility of a ground operation in the future and talked about how the Iranians at this moment are unwilling to make a deal. Ainsley?
Oh, what a great interview. Congratulations on getting that. You're the perfect person to talk to him about Iran. Thank you so much. All right, let's hand it over to Carly. She has some headlines for us. Hey, Carly.
I do. Yeah. Hey, Ainsley. And this morning, President Trump's.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. I know we covered a lot of ground there. Hit subscribe. Pre-order WTF America, the book I wrote with my brothers. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you. Let's keep on fighting. I think I got the book right there as well. So there it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. Breaking news right now. My brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.